Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of the R&R Sports Podcast. Yeah. I am your host, Robert, along with my co-host,
Randy.
And we are currently popping Randy's podcast cherry.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcasting world.
Woo!
Some of you familiar with Chrisco Industries obviously recognize this voice, but Randy will be joining us tonight on this brand new show where we go in depth with whatever the hell we feel like, but mostly sports.
That's right.
Mostly sports. So we should probably get this out of the way. Your background in sports is heavily influenced by football, we'll say?
Yes.
And what's your particular fandom?
I'm a Redskins fan. Ever since I was a child, yep.
Good old-fashioned, old North Carolina, annoying Redskins fan. See, I was. There's just enough age difference between us that I'm a Panthers fan.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to say that.
I mean, we've been a lot better than y'all have been as of late. I would be very careful saying that.
We're in a state of disarray, let's just say that.
Well, why don't you hit us with the first story?
So, the big news this week about the Alex Smith trade coming to the Redskins, just blown away by it. Okay, so all year there's been talk of Kirk Cousins, right? What is he going to do with the contract coming up in March, right?
Yep.
Are they going to make him an offer? Nothing's happened. They tagged him twice, right?
Yep.
45 million the last 2 years, right? So he's coming up on a big payday.
Yeah.
And then there's a trade in January. I just can't even think of the last time there's been a trade in January. I just was trying to think about it today. I can't remember the last time I've seen an NFL trade in January.
Teams are rebuilding quick, man.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, think about how quickly recruiting begins in the college game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no joke. It's like, Nick Saban, after winning his umpteenth bajillionth, national title, because he sold his soul to the devil. But anyway, so the minute after he finishes that, he only relished in it for like 10 minutes, and he's I got to go back out and hit the dang trail. On Nick Saban, though, I've got to say something. Something's really been bugging me. When you have 2 to 3 times the staff of most other NCAA football teams, you better win some games and some championships. Have you ever looked at their budget for what they're paying coaches? It's insane.
Well, I know he makes millions of dollars.
He is the highest paid public civil servant in the country.
Oh, wow.
So think about it. He's the number 1 paid football coach of a public university. There's no way that there's a dean that's making more money than him.
No.
So, I mean, just wrap your head around that and think about it. There's no other government position that makes more money than that.
That's insane.
Like, our president only makes $500,000 a year, or it's like $400,000 or something like that.
Right.
So.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that they have not only one team that's like a professional team, but hell, they're 3 deep. I mean, they have 3 professional football teams on their squad.
Backups, their third string backup is better than most teams.
Yeah, that running back beat the hell out of Georgia. So I mean, you watch that game, you got guys that are not starters, freshmen of all people that their third string freshmen running backs are and they're crushing people.
Yeah,
they got corners in there that are third stringers that you're absolutely right could start on any team, much less a pro football team.
And for God's sakes, so, I mean, he changes quarterbacks mid-championship and wins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just insane. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. Yeah. So Alex Smith, probably the steadiest quarterback. I mean, he's predictable, but he's safe. Mm-hmm. Has Alex Smith thrown any passes over 15 yards this season? I mean, I'm sure he has, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's very consistent, but he is mobile, right, for a quarterback his age, 33 years old.
I mean, all season, 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
5 interceptions all goddamn season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What? I can't even wrap my head around that. Tom Brady has more than that.
Tops 4,000 yards and 67% passer rating, which is...
So, but I do want to point out that Kirk Cousins threw 27 touchdowns. He threw 1 more touchdown than Alex Smith last year. With a lower passer rating, obviously, he had 13 interceptions, which is more than double that of Alex Smith. But anyways, so tell me, I guess my feelings are, I know you're upset about losing Cousins.
Yes.
But I've always felt like Cousins was kind of a gamble player anyways. I mean...
And that's the rap on him, right? You risk versus reward, and he will have those
That was Brett Favre's
games.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and he'll go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
With 1 Super Bowl.
Right. But a Hall of Famer, right?
I agree.
Somebody who's...
I agree.
Love to hate him, right? If you're a Packers fan, you love him.
Yeah, love him.
If you're a Vikings fan, you hated him. Except for the 1 or 2 seasons he did join the Vikes.
I think the thing about Brett Favre is he was intensely charismatic.
Right.
He had what they call in the biz a high Q factor. He has a very likable face, a very likable personality.
Well, Wrangler sure as hell loved him.
Oh, that's for dang sure. That man can sell some jeans. That man sells more jeans than Cindy Crawford's ass. Hello, 1990s reference.
Yes.
Kids these days don't even know who Cindy Crawford is.
Yeah, that one shot right over that fan base.
The dried out husk of Cindy Crawford used to be really hot. Actually, that's not true. She's still really hot.
She is.
We should
what is
all.
She like 80 now? I mean, she's still gorgeous. The woman doesn't age. She looks the exact same. She's on all those makeup commercials.
Her mole has made more money than you and I could ever hope to make.
That's a
you
dream
bet
mole.
your ass she's got that thing insured. Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So anyways, we're getting way off topic.
Okay.
So you were talking about Cousins and Brett Favre, but that's just one of those things with Brett Favre that, like, I love Brett Favre too, but like at the end of the day, he, like Aaron Rodgers, has great stats, but one ring.
Yeah.
And on a certain level, it comes down to the hardware.
Right. It does.
Which is why Tom Brady pisses me off.
Yes, we'll get to Tom Brady.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So talk about
that's
your
a fun
kids.
subject. Okay. So Kirk Cousins, right? The 4th round draft pick, right after RG3, who, the Redskins gambled the house on, right? Yeah. They gave up 3 first-round picks for the guy, okay, and none of them worked out.
Who was the coach when RG3 came in?
It was Shanahan.
Right? That's right. Yeah,
and it wasn't Shanahan's play. I don't think you had a lot of front office stuff above him going on.
I just remember tons of drama during that time.
Yes, and RG3 comes in, rookie of the year, right? They run the read
amazing
option.
Performance.
Amazing first year. I was at the playoff game there against Seattle when he left his knee in Washington that night. And was never the same again. But you have a 4th rounder in there who's stayed quiet, stayed his nose to the grindstone. That second season come in and finally gets his start, that 3rd season, right? Mm-hmm. And he really steps up to the plate. So I was looking up stuff earlier today. This man has, he's the only Redskin for the last 3 consecutive seasons to put up 4,000 passing yards in a year. That's not an easy feat in the NFL, right?
No.
But the biggest beef with the front office has been he turns the ball over, right? And that looks like, if you look at his interceptions, right? Yeah. Exactly what you talked about. He's got double digits, and they've continued to go up year over year for the last 3 years.
It's interesting, though, that they would trade him for Alex. So Alex Smith is a safe choice, but Alex Smith is further into his career than Cousins is.
Yep. He's on his 3rd team now, right?
But I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. And people are wondering about Colin Kaepernick, too, because Colin Kaepernick is who replaced Alex Smith. Alex Smith gets a concussion. They bring in Kaepernick, and then they never bring in Smith again. No. But the problem with these West Coast-style running quarterbacks is that defensive coordinators with a season of tape figure them out.
Right.
They figure them out.
They do.
I mean, for God's sakes, look.
That's the trend in the NFL. Or fancy new offenses to give him 1 year.
That's right. And I love Cam Newton, but the fact of the matter with Cam Newton is that the only reason he still gets away with what he does is because he's 6'6", 280 pounds.
Yes,
he
huge.
runs. He's bigger than most linebackers.
Right.
I mean, and so he can still muscle it.
Right.
Fortunately, he stayed pretty healthy.
Right.
For this season, he had a 75-yard run that was just insane. And I love the guy, but honestly, I feel like they've done a great disservice to him playing as conservatively as they have. Because it's like, no, you need to be a pocket passer, but he's never been a pocket passer. And I get that people figure out that offense, but Cam is unique because he's not as small as RG3 or Russell Wilson, or
right.
He's mobile and huge. Why would you not put that to work?
And he's a 2-dimensional player. If you just stick him in the pocket, he's 1-dimensional, which works for someone like Breeze, Brady,
Rodgers,
right? Even Rodgers moves and gets out. You still have that threat of a running quarterback.
And Rodgers throws from his front goddamn foot, not his back foot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cameron Newton.
Yes. Yes. Running backwards to the right.
Oh my God.
Throwing off your back foot across the field.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do in the NFL, right?
But the real key, and here's the deal. I don't blame Cam because he could be a much better pocket quarterback if he had a freaking pocket. They have never had an offensive line in front of him, and that is the one thing that the Pats don't get enough credit for. in the years that Tom Brady has won Super Bowls, they have a top 5 offensive line.
Oh, absolutely.
And the years that they don't make it to the playoffs are when they don't have an offensive line. Mm-hmm. Tom's not good at throwing from his ass. He's a great quarterback, but what he's not good at doing is throwing under pressure.
No.
So, and that's been the most frustrating thing is like the guys who figured that out, like get in Brady's face, those were his worst games.
Right.
But when you've got, I don't know if you remember Teddy Washington. He was the center for the Pats back in the early aughts. Big. I mean, he was a fridge of a man. He just, huge man. Arguably one of the best centers to play the game during that time period. Just big. People couldn't get through him. It didn't matter how big you were. He was bigger than you. So, anybody go back and watch that man's tape because he was just a wall.
And games are won within the trenches, right?
That's the absolute truth. When your running game's not going to work if you don't have guys to spread them apart.
Right. And for your passing game to work, your running game's got to work. So, you know, if you look at the talent that Kirk Cousins had around him, right, they brought in Terrell Pryor, who had a 1,000-yard season last year in Cleveland, and, you know, who was a quarterback in college, and converted to a wide receiver and had a great year last year with no QB. So, You one logically thinks you pair him with Kirk Cousins, he's going to have a lights out.
Have a great day, yeah.
But he couldn't catch a ball last year. So many wide open passes that he dropped.
He wasn't used to actually getting balls on time with a tight spiral.
I guess.
If you're used to catching garbage, it's what you come to expect.
Right.
And that's really the disservice. Cleveland is where good players go to die because they're drafted there. I guess you make or break it, but it's just... Name a great player to come out of Cleveland in the last 30 years. People can only think of
my head.
You can only think of one great Cleveland Brown, right?
I can think of Joe Thomas, and the guy's his soul is dying there every year. The seasons drag on because he's the only bright spot in that team.
Yeah.
I can't think of many good players to come out of Cleveland. I think the smart ones get out. Getting good. But
now on the Redskins, I do want to touch on, since I'm a Panthers fan, you're a Redskins fan. We traded to y'all star cornerback
Josh
who
Norman
laid up a big fat ass goose egg this year.
Yeah.
So that decision by Gettleman looks better and better. That man made a lot of bad decisions.
Well, he didn't lay a goose egg. Let's not go that far. Okay?
Did he have any interceptions?
No, he had 0
That's a goose egg
interceptions.
for a corner with no interceptions. That's a goose egg. When Luke Kuechly has more interceptions in a season than you do.
Okay, when you're a top corner and you shut down one side of the ball, one side of the field, those things are going to happen, right? But I did see him get toasted on a few plays this year, and where his ankles were left on FedEx Field because he got burnt so bad.
It's because he got paid.
Yes.
Why is that always how it is? Joe Flacco, the Ravens threw way too much fucking money at Joe Flacco.
Way.
You made him the number 1 paid quarterback in the league? You idiots.
Yes, way too much money. Well, it was after a Super Bowl, right? So
you got to pay
prime
him.
Time to strike,
but
right? He gets you to the Super Bowl. Wasn't that after like 3 seasons too? Like it wasn't long into his contract off his rookie deal. That he got signed that much money.
Well, you know as well as I do, when the Ravens win the Super Bowl is when they have had punishing defenses.
Oh yeah.
Nobody ranks as high as the original Ray Lewis defense that just walloped the Giants. Yeah. But their win against the 49ers, that was a great defense too.
Right.
Of course, all of that smacks, it just stinks. I hate to say this about the NFL, but if you are a beloved player retiring, you're just going to happen to win a Super Bowl.
Well, they only won that Super
Manning,
Bowl because
Ray
the lights
Lewis,
went out.
Oh, yes, of course. John Elway. Now,
the conspiracy.
In fairness, though, they were walloping them to begin with, and the lights go out, and then things change.
Yes.
It's really interesting because it gave the 49ers a lot of time to start scheming.
Right. So, funny story about that.
Yeah.
It was the first and last Super Bowl that I ever DVR'd because we had friends and family over, and one of my guests, we had paused it, right, so we could cook, and we were, cooking and eating, and everybody's, having some fellowship time, and we go over to hit play, and someone hits live TV.
Oh God!
And it jumps like 3 quarters, right? And past everything, and I'm like, no, I just no more DVR and live sports, right? I can't do it.
Yeah,
because someone will ruin it, right?
Yep.
One way or the other.
What's the point?
You get an alert on your phone. You get your friend calling and texting you. Or you get someone that hits live TV.
Google's gotten really scary. I don't have saved preference teams. I don't have any. I don't do any of that ESPN, my league, whatever.
Right.
These are my favorites, whatever. Google will ping me on my phone and say, by the way, here's the Cleveland Cavaliers score.
Right.
By the way, here's the Panthers score. By the by.
So they're not your
the
favorite teams on there. You've not set up any preferences.
I don't have any preferences, but they know the teams that I regularly check the scores on.
It's the machines that
man.
they're taking
There's a
over.
profile. There's metadata out there that's collected on me, and they,
Put your tinfoil hat on now because they're listening.
Yeah, no, of course they're listening. Our phones are currently listening to us.
Yes.
I'm sure you've noticed a strange phenomenon. You talk about something with friends, and then the next day it shows up in an Amazon advertisement.
Yes.
Jeff Bezos.
It's Facebook's fault.
Jeff Bezos says we have an algorithm, a predictive algorithm is based on what you look at on the screen, and we go ahead and ship it to a depot near you. But as well as I do, that when people have Alexas in their house, they are abso-freaking-lutely listening to you all the time.
I refuse to get one.
But I'm not going to do it.
I'm going to stay on the other side of the fence.
I don't.
I had the Kinect for a while.
Yeah.
With Xbox, and I got to the point where I'm disconnecting it because you're right.
Yeah.
They're listening.
But let me take off the tinfoil hat for a minute. Okay. Talking about NFL Super Bowl conspiracies and Alexa listening to you all the time.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you want to say about your beloved Redskins before we move on?
Okay, before we move on. So you think about the talent around him. We talked about Terrell Pryor. We talked about, we didn't, but Jamison Crowder. I mean, just a total stud in the slot.
Beg your pardon.
Kind of a stud in the slot.
A stud in the slot. Ooh.
Okay, he's a slot receiver. He's a stud wide receiver. Right?
Oh, a giver and a taker.
Yes. Okay, so he started off slow, but he finally picked it up. You have Ryan Grant, who has kind of been the practice star.
Yeah.
Kind of fill in, but Jordan Reed, he's so frustrating because he is plays at such a high talent or such a high level. He's a high talent, one of the best tight ends, and matchup nightmares in the NFL. But the guy can't stay healthy. It bugs the hell out of me.
Yeah.
You have injuries all across the front line, so I felt like, Kirk shouldered a lot of blame every game. I watched those press conferences with Gruden in there, talking about, the opportunities that they had. Even the end of year press conference after the last game, and someone had asked him what he thought of Kirk Cousins and said, well, he played okay. He had his flashes, and I'm thinking to myself, do these guys have no confidence in this guy, right? I already said that he's, the only Redskin quarterback, right, in the last that has had 3 consecutive seasons of 4,000 yards. Okay, they've had 26 quarterbacks since the last Super Bowl. It's ungodly that they would take this risk.
I will tell you, and you aren't going to like this because it's your interdivisional rival.
Okay.
But here's the deal. Can he take you to the top of the mountain? And that's the question that they had to ask themselves in Dallas about Tony Romo.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to claim to be some soothsayer, but here's the deal. My feelings on Romo early on was he gets the yips, he can't handle the big moments, and he turned it over when it was most critical.
I would agree with that.
Most crucial, most critical.
And he had the injury bug that just got him year after year.
And that's one of the things that once you get those, it's hard. But the problem with Romo is he didn't know how to fall.
Yes.
That's really where the injuries kept coming from. He would land funny. Say what you want about Tom Brady, but the way he stayed healthy is that when somebody touches him, he wilts like a lily. I mean, he just falls to the ground. Now, you could call it cowardice, but you know what? It's kept him healthy.
Yeah,
that's the key. So the question I have is that maybe this is a decision of that who's going to be our quarterback of the future. Personally, I don't think Alex Smith is the quarterback of the future. But again, how many more seasons are you going to get out of Alex Smith?
Right. That's the thing, right? He's 33 now. Or they signed him to a 5-year deal, so he had one year left on his deal. They extended it for 4 years.
Yeah.
They gave him $70 million guaranteed. Okay,
wow, that's huge.
That's no drop in the bucket, right? For 5 years. So can you build a team around an aging quarterback? They've tried it before with Donovan McNabb. It didn't work. They've tried other superstars at the time, Albert Hainsworth, Deion Sanders.
They seem to be making decisions for the now and not decisions for the future.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part.
It's reactionary.
As a Redskins fan, is the key, and they, Scott McLuhan, before they fired him, and that's a whole nother topic about how they alienated him.
Remember, this is not going to become the Redskins podcast.
Yes, that's true.
Get it out.
But I'm passionate, okay, right? I'm a passionate Redskins fan, okay? And I've been holding this in, right?
You and your Washington foreskins.
Right. But, you have a philosophy that you build through the draft.
Yeah.
For so many years, they did that through free agency, and this was the one opportunity that they had to build through the draft. They got a 4th rounder. This guy was a 4th rounder, and they could build around him. I mean, hell, the guy lost 2,000-yard wide receivers last year, and look what replaced him. I mean, Terrell Pryor, who eventually got injured and was out for the season. I just felt like, they did the same. They did the same thing to Kirk as they did for Alfred Morris.
Yep.
Right. Alfred Morris had a phenomenal rookie year. He had an okay second year, and by the 3rd year, his numbers had kind of dropped. Well, if you go back and watch the tapes, it wasn't all Alfred's fault. The run blocking was terrible, and I can tell you they were not making the holes that they were before. And like we talked about before, defenses figured the system out. So by the 2nd year, the read option wasn't working. They had to try different things and make RG3 a pocket passer, and that wasn't working. So I felt like they did the same thing. The other caveat to this trade we have to think about is Kendall Fuller being included. Okay, he was the 3rd round DB that we had drafted in the corner, and had 4 interceptions this year. So he led the team, right? More than your boy Norman, like you said, and did a fantastic job. Was actually named the number 1 slot corner by the Bleacher Report, and the top Redskin actually by Pro Football Focus. Although I think that's arguable. I think nobody makes more of an impact than Ryan Kerrigan. But you're going to lose Bashaud Breeland to free agency this year. We already know he's going to be gone. They signed Quentin Dunbar, but they just don't have the depth there. They've just continued to lose good players, and that's the frustrating part.
The team's been mismanaged for a long time.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah. Let's put it this way.
I blame it on Bruce Allen. I blame it on him, and I blame it on Dan Snyder for not giving and trusting people to make the right decisions.
But let's look at it this way. 2/3 of the league is in exactly the same position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously. Because let's face it, basically the same teams contend every year, which I want to discuss here. Okay. For once, the Jacksonville Jaguars did not suck.
It was nice to see, right?
They were 10-6 in fairness, but they were 10-6 with Blake frickin' Bortles.
Yes.
Not a great quarterback. They had an amazing running back, punishing defense. As far as I'm concerned, they beat the Pats. There were some very questionable calls, and I hate to bring that into question, but it just that's the fact of the matter.
But they beat Pittsburgh at home.
Usually
nobody does. Right?
That's a hostile environment. Right? Yeah,
but their defense got them there. Now, that defense.
And I've heard the argument that the Texans were weak this year, that the Colts were weak this year. But neither of those teams, even at their peak efficiency, had the defense the Jaguars did.
The poor Texans. I feel so bad for them because of
J.J.
the
Watt
flooding, J.J. Watt, right? The
no
charity blew up. The first 2 games. Deshaun Watson. Okay, so I had him on my fantasy team. He was a super stud. For the first time, I had this guy was doing awesome. Right, and then Deshaun Watson tears an ACL in practice, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Right? Yep. Finally getting some headway.
Not even in a game.
Right, not even in a game. In practice. Allen Iverson's favorite thing, right? So frustrating, dude. Just like I really hated it for them because every year they always are going to be up there. But
now I do want to talk about Jacksonville a little bit.
Okay.
because it's the Tom Coughlin era has begun in Jacksonville, and there has been immediate results.
Immediate.
Say what you want about the codger, but the guy knows his freaking football.
He does.
He does know his football, and he has always had the formula, and people hate this, but he's had the formula to best Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he just doesn't talk on his cell phone for weeks leading up to it, so Belichick can't listen in, but whatever he does, he's taken teams that on paper should not beat the Pats.
Right.
And they have. So the question becomes, with Eli getting so royally boned by Ben McAdoo, like, what did that accomplish? I like Eli Manning, so I want to hear from somebody who's not necessarily an Eli fan. You don't like the Giants, you're a Redskins fan. But I mean,
division rivals.
The guy has a streak, 210 consecutive starts.
Yes.
And your season is gone.
Right.
I mean, you're not making the playoffs. I know this is old news at this point, but like, what does that accomplish other than screwing over?
No, I mean, who's the next man up, right? I mean, I don't even know who their backup.
The backup only started one game,
right?
I don't even.
So
he didn't even make the whole game. They brought Eli in. You know what I mean?
Was it a power move? I mean, was that what it was? It just come down to
Ben McAdoo
checking him
seemed
up?
like such a Guido, slicked back. He just seemed like an asshole.
Yeah, and he took over and just I don't know. But they lost ODB early, right?
That's true.
They lost Sterling Shepard. They lost a lot of their talent.
And that affected Eli's numbers. But look at it this way. In 2015, 2016, he still had 4,000-plus yards passing. Right. And this year, with everything that happened, he still got nearly 3,500 yards passing. Yeah. Now, his interceptions this year were less than last year. His touchdowns weren't up, but he had no wide receivers.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying Eli's elite anymore.
No.
But I don't know. I still see there's potential there. He's in way better shape than Peyton was at the end of his career.
Yeah, I think so.
Peyton was falling apart. Has Eli ever really had a big injury?
I don't think so. And he's always had, I've thought more.
Well, obviously he didn't have an injury. He's had 210 consecutive starts.
Yeah.
So if he was hurt, he played hurt.
Yeah. And the guy can throw. He can sling it. There towards the end, remember, Peyton could not sling the ball as well as he could.
Yeah, Peyton was lucky if he could get 15 yards.
Eli has had really no problem still gunning it down the field. You know, when you take away a top 3 talent in the league, right, you think of ODB and how people cannot match up with him.
He's a matchup nightmare.
When you take that away, you know, and you have a couple of other wide receivers that you lose. Think of their running game. They had nothing for a running game this year, too.
Yeah, that's very true.
So that plays a part into what's going on with Eli. So I think he got a harsh shake, but
nobody on defense. You got a guy missing a finger because he blew up his hand with a firework. That's the dumbest frickin' story. I swear to God.
That's what drugs and alcohol and fireworks will do for you.
Just not even once. Anyways, I guess my feelings.
We say our PSA about fireworks, drugs, and alcohol, and don't blow off your fingers.
I don't want my name attached to that.
Okay.
Pro or con, for or against, I should say. But I guess my question is, and there's been a lot of murmurs about this, and I feel like Eli has a very good chance of ending up in Jacksonville because I don't think they're going to keep Bortles on the payroll.
I think Bortles has worn out his welcome. I think that they are moving in a right direction. They obviously got, pretty far in the playoffs this year. They've done very well. And defensively, I think it doesn't get any better than what they put together. That's why they went out and got Fournette, so he could get those tough yards. They got a hell of a running back because they always ran a 2-back system there. Right. Well, now they just put everything on Fournette's shoulders, and he carried it all day long, right?
Man, talk about a beast in fantasy.
Oh, man. He's just a super stud. I was hated when, I didn't land him.
I looked into Kamara, and that wound up being the best pick I had all season.
Yeah,
Golly Moses. It was like, and I wound up having Ezekiel Elliott, so I had him, which was great, and then I lost him, which was not great.
Which we knew at the beginning of the season. Okay, well, we expect
there's
a suspension.
That was
right?
a gamble.
At least 6 games, and we're hoping it's in the first 6 games because at least I can have him for the end of the season in the playoffs. Well, we all know how that shook out. So ended up losing him for the playoffs.
So I want to move on a little bit because we've been talking such heavy football,
and
we will touch on football a little bit again to talk about our Super Bowl picks and such. But I do want to bring some attention. Interesting news today that LeBron James said he would entertain an offer from Golden State in free agency, but only if they were capable of opening up the salary space to afford him, which is crazy.
That's insane.
I mean, it's not. I mean, here's the deal. LeBron's all about his legacy. This is a legacy move.
Absolutely.
And he has already found out that he can beat them but once.
Right.
He knows he can't beat him again.
Right.
Kevin Love just injured his hand. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. And people are already talking about getting rid of Love. He's doing everything he can. He lost Kyrie.
They've been talking about that for, 4 years now. Love.
I want to point something out. On every LeBron team, there's a whipping boy.
Mm-hmm.
The point guard in Miami, golly, what was his... Oh, this sucks.
Not Dwayne Wade.
No, not Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
No, it was actually their point guard. Dwayne Wade was the shooting guard.
Oh, that's right.
Mario Chalmers.
Yes,
Chalmers was the whipping boy.
Yes.
When anything went wrong,
he was in the rookie,
big
too.
three,
Mm-hmm.
they tear him a new one. You know? Now, Chalmers, because he played on that squad, got 2 rings and went to 4 straight finals.
Right.
Good for him. But Kevin Love has become that whipping boy on this LeBron team. Now, in fairness to LeBron, I don't... He has maintained positive relationships and respectful relationships with Steph and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He's been very... And it was big news for the All-Star game since they're doing this like a schoolyard style All-Star game, which, by the way, I love.
Which is a great idea.
Yeah, the fact that it's not East versus West, the fact that it's 2 captains picking their favorite players,
absolutely.
that's a brilliant idea.
Put them on an outdoor court. Like,
God. Yeah,
let's
like
make this
NBA
really
Street.
interesting. Yes.
But LeBron's like, I love my man KD. KD, I want you to come be on my team. And it's like, so it's interesting that they're really reinforcing the brotherhood stuff. But LeBron has always been smart about his moves and the way he communicates with people.
So here's the big question for Steve Kerr is, do you break up that chemistry that you have going, right?
Do you have another big 3?
Right. Do you get rid of Klay Thompson? Do you get
have
rid
to
of some
burn
of your
at
other
least
superstars?
2
two people,
you'd have
right?
to get rid of 2
right.
people for a guy like LeBron.
So you keep Draymond, right?
Yep.
You keep Steph. Obviously, you keep Steph and KD. KD's going to have to come off some of that money if they give
that's
LeBron
another big one, yeah. Well, and here's the deal, though. I see Kevin Durant doing it. The question is Steph willing to give up money now for more championships?
He just got his contract.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but you bring a guy like LeBron on, LeBron's pulling like $37 million a year.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, he got $1 billion. Well, the belief is that he got $1 billion for his lifetime shoe contract.
Right.
Billion with a B. That makes Michael Jordan shudder somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Now, but he's still writing checks, or getting checks.
Well, it's all the royalties.
From
absolutely.
The Jordans are still number
Nike,
1, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. That's a whole different market unto itself. But anyways, I just think it's really interesting. Quite frankly, the super team that Golden State has right now is bad for the league.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Can you imagine them adding LeBron James? Now, I've heard the argument, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yep.
But if any one of those 3 are hot, crap.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you stop that?
You don't. You try to play at their level, right? You get into.
You have to build a super team in the East to go up against them. That's all you do.
I mean, that's really all you can do. And obviously this is an era, right?
Yep.
And LeBron started it all with doing it in Miami.
Big 3, yep.
With the big 3, right? And a couple of other teams have tried it. But it just hasn't had the success.
Houston tried to put together their 3. Clippers tried to put together their 3.
Yep.
But, I mean, you're talking about guys that just never... OKC was good for a while, but you had Westbrook and Durant, and they just couldn't they just couldn't get over that.
Right. They couldn't get over that hump. So, right, what does that do for the league if you bring in, the 3 of them together? Who would even match up with them?
Basketball is such a sport where if you've got the best player in the league, you're going to win. I mean, it's huge.
Right.
The only sport, I was going to say the only other sport that's worse than that is tennis, where guys in tennis know who they can beat and who they can't beat.
Sure.
But that's not a team sport.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No.
So I'm trying to think of another team sport where it's like the best scorer means that team's going to win. That's not how it is in hockey. I mean, there's great scorers, but Ovechkin... I mean, does Ovechkin even have 1 Stanley Cup? He may have one,
no.
but I mean, he was a top scorer for years and years and years. Has nothing to show for it. Sidney Crosby has more hardware,
right?
And Crosby's another great. Gretzky was another great shooter, but Gretzky had other guys behind him. You know what I mean?
In a team with him, right?
And he had the leadership ability,
right?
So yeah, he was captain of that team. So I don't know, just
it's concerning. I think if another super team comes together, what is it going to do for their fan base? What's it going to do for their ratings? You heard the story come out the other day about the Vegas gambling.
Yeah.
They want a 1% cut.
Are you kidding me?
Of every game that's bet on.
Good luck.
You're talking about fixing games and an integrity issue at that point?
Well, the NBA's always had a problem with that. For God's sakes, you had refs who were deeply involved.
Yes.
Like we know, like they got caught.
That's one thing I feel like David Stern.
Daniel
Howard
Stern. Yeah, Howard Stern,
Daniel Stern.
Baba Booey.
Home Alone, right?
Yeah.
Not the NBA commissioner. I feel like he did a good job of cleaning up the league. I don't know if Adam Silver, if I get that vibe from him.
So wait, you're saying the guy who let Michael Jordan get away with murder?
No.
Allegedly.
Murder.
No, not actual murder, but like gambled on games he was playing in, and he just decided to go play baseball.
That was never confirmed.
Okay, then we'll let it live in the infamous gray area that it still exists in.
I think back to your point of there's always been integrity issues, and they've never fully cleaned it up.
I think Michael Jordan's dad was killed because of gambling debt.
Well, yeah, a lot of that. I mean, that is a very good theory
that's my hot
about
take.
What happened with him, and Jordan was known for getting into some things that maybe he shouldn't have been in. So I mean, who really knows? I would hope not. Yeah. But it would be interesting to see if that really happened. If they put together the super teams, would that garner them more ratings? You think?
I mean, everybody would want to watch it. People love the matchup, like the mid-season matchups between Golden State and Cleveland. Golden State's been dominating those, but the ratings are through the roof. Yeah. Because people want to see LeBron James go insane. Yeah. Say what you want. LeBron plays harder and better. I mean, he's taken teams with no support. He's been to, 8 consecutive finals? Like, people want to talk all their stuff about, MJ's got more hardware, but that is freaking impressive. 3 teams, 2 of them being the same team. But all those finals is insane.
Yeah.
It'd be better if he had more hardware.
I'm surprised they let Kyrie walk so easily. I mean, there must have been something going on in that locker room why they let one of the best point guards in the NBA walk like that. Yeah. To a rival, right?
And watch Boston. They're not doing great.
Right.
Right. Anyways. We got to move on a little bit. But hey, okay. So I'm with you. Here's the deal. If he does that, they'll win a ton of hardware. And then it's going to be a very uncomfortable conversation when LeBron has been to more finals and has as much hardware as MJ.
They'll be unstoppable.
Ooh, that's going to be an uncomfortable conversation.
I'll always be on MJ's side.
You know what I mean? Well, obviously, you're a Carolina fan, too.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to touch on this real quick because I know you don't have much to say on it, but Roger Federer just won his 20th Grand Slam at 35 years old.
That's amazing.
Which is, it's insane. One, at that age, but to be as dominant as he is at that age. I mean, Sampras, who everybody thinks of as like one of the greatest men's tennis players of all time, has 14 Grand Slams. Rafael Nadal has quietly gotten to 15. The fact of the matter is Nadal's blowing out his knees.
Yeah, way too many times.
He's retiring from too many contests. I mean, the thing is, he's great on clay. Right. Nadal's great on clay, but Federer's even better on grass than Nadal was on clay. Right. I think Federer's got like 8 Wimbledons, which is it's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah. So I know you probably don't have much to say on tennis. We just have to touch on that. The fact that sorry, what?
I played Wii tennis one time.
Oh, well you're practically a pro.
I could take Federer.
Yeah.
He's got nothing.
Would you say that you love tennis? It's bad. It's cheesy.
No. Woo.
That's cheap. Wow.
Bazinga.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Winning.
Are you trying to figure out what your catchphrase is going to be on this show? you can't. Yeah, there. Yeah. Just. Did you have a seizure? Is that what that was? Everybody, you just heard Randy's orgasm noise there. Zing. All right. What do we got next?
I don't know how we can follow that up.
Yeah.
But how about the Pro Bowl? What
How about the Pro Bowl?
What did you think of the Pro Bowl this year?
Well, I'll be honest. I, like the last decade of my life, didn't watch it because it's garbage.
Right.
But I did check the ratings, and ratings were up 28% this year versus last year.
How is that?
When every game in the NFL, ratings have been down.
Right.
In a big way.
Right.
Yet the Pro Bowl, what was so different? So like it's in an afternoon slot now instead of at night.
Right. Which is totally against the NFL's MO, right? They always want prime time. Here, let's put them at freaking 2:00 in the afternoon. Maybe that's why they got the ratings. Somebody accidentally turned it there, and they go, "Oh, we got the click."
Oh yeah. Well, it's a weekend without football. You're desperate, maybe.
Yeah.
Just like you need something. I think this Super Bowl has the chance to be one of the least watched Super Bowls in a long time.
I think so too.
Because I bet you the diehard Pat fans are going to watch, but they're Pat fans who probably won't tune in because they just assume they're going to win.
Yeah.
Now, the Eagles fans are going to go crazy, but most people hate these two teams.
Yes.
You could not pick two more hated teams.
I know a lot of people that are not excited for it.
I'm only watching it because we're watching it together.
We're watching it together, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if it wasn't for that, I mean, I hate to say it, like, if we weren't watching it together, I would probably be skipping this game. Because I just can't watch Tom Brady's smug-ass face
win another Super Bowl.
Well, you just got to play hard and marry a supermodel and, leave your bastard child behind and never pay any attention to them. And
eat chicken and rice every day.
And his special magic water.
Right, his sugar diet or whatever he does.
God, he's so annoying. He's one of those guys you just want to give a swirly.
Just dunk
just
him.
Pick him up by his ankles.
Good luck picking him up because he's huge.
You know what you do? You say, "Hey Gronk, you want to give Brady a swirly?" Yeah, I'm gonna give Brady a swirl.
The party boy will do it.
I'll give him swirls. Yeah, you give him swirls. I'll give him swirls.
Speaking of Gronk, right? He was just cleared today off concussion protocol. Right?
Bullshit.
But Belichick's going to put him right back on the injury report,
well,
right?
Tom Brady has always been on the injury report. When they said, he injured Tom Brady's hand, he's on the injury report, I said, what the fuck is this? Tom Brady has always, every week, didn't you know this is the old gimmick?
It's been that way for years.
He has been listed as questionable since 2001.
Yes, every game, right? It was a running joke in fantasy because it was like, do you start him or not? Okay, don't worry,
care.
Just play the guy because
you want to talk about how much I dislike Tom Brady is that it doesn't matter what year he has, I cannot draft him in fantasy football.
Well, the story is out there that he actually cut his finger off, but it regenerated itself in a matter of 3 days.
Because of his magic water. Yes. Yeah. God almighty. Yeah, something.
Excuse me. How do they fix the Pro Bowl? What do they do? I mean, obviously they're not physical enough. They don't hit each other. Hell, they don't even go to Hawaii anymore. So why do these guys even get excited about it?
I don't know, man. I don't know how you fix it. Here's the deal. We all know the truth. When guys go half speed like they do in the Pro Bowl, that's how people wind up getting hurt. Do you remember 2 years ago, J.J. Watt getting his finger split open and his nose broken?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Or I guess maybe that was 3 years ago now. I don't remember. It's something like that. But it's like I don't know how you fix that. Maybe, if you're not going to play, do flag football.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's pretty much what they do.
Yeah.
They won't tackle. The scores get run up.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know how. Here's the deal. It's even better than a Pro Bowl game.
What?
A concession game for third place.
Mm-hmm.
The two teams that lose the championship game play each other in a backup Super Bowl.
I would watch that.
That's how you fix it.
Might even be better than the real Super Bowl.
So you have Jaguars and Vikings.
Right.
I'd watch that game.
Two really good teams.
I'd watch that game. Think of it like a bowl game. Play it in a bowl. Play it at the Rose Bowl. I mean, do whatever the fuck. But why not?
How about the Vikings versus a whole squad of Marcus Williams? Marcus Williams is trying to tackle them.
Yeah, we just clone him. Yeah, why not?
Yes.
We have that technology.
I would watch that.
Why'd we play God?
It's just it's as a fan to try and watch it, it's unwatchable. Like you said, it's ridiculous. I used to even love watching the quarterback challenges and stuff when I was a kid. The games that they would do.
I loved the preamble more than the game.
Yeah.
Like the kicking challenge, like playing horse. Do you remember that?
Yes.
The kickers would play horse.
Yes.
Like, here's my trick shot. Now do it too. That was crazy fun.
Awesome.
They did Adam Vinatieri and whoever was it, Akers, who was the kicker for the Eagles back in the day. That was wildly entertaining.
Right, because you got to see
fun.
raw talent.
Well, and those two guys were really friendly and funny together.
Right.
They're kickers for the two teams in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Right. What's the big deal?
I mean, I just think that, if you're a player, you see a lot of them just bow out of it, and you see a lot of alternates playing. Yep. I mean, that's...
Well, and here's the deal. There's guys in the Super Bowl who were elected to the Pro Bowl. They're not going to go play the Pro Bowl
every year, right?
And I understand why they do the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl, because it's like, well, you're going to give the teams 2 weeks off, and then they whatever.
Right.
But you'd get... Can you imagine if a Super Bowl MVP came and played in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Like it'd be better ratings,
awesome.
And it'd be one last little bit of football, one last little bit. But honestly, the only way I see you legitimately fixing it is one, not having it and doing a third place concession game.
I guess. I mean, I guess whatever they do to it, they're still not going to fix the physicality because guys are afraid of getting
or just
hurt.
Go over the top, change the rules, make it something crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, make them play for more money. Hell, all these guys want more money, right? It's what at the end of the day, it's about a business, right? If they want to play for more money,
go play in the Pro Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
put some incentive on it, right? Put a kitty out and let them play for the kitty.
That's a good point. For goodness sake, the NFL has enough money.
Right. Do a home field advantage. I mean, baseball did that for years. So
yeah,
do a home field.
I actually like that.
Yeah,
it gives meaning.
Gives some meaning to it, right? So okay. So anyways,
here's a little segment. Here's a little segment. It's how we're gonna end the show.
All right,
we're gonna pick a game. Who you got?
Who you got?
Who you got?
Who you got?
Who you got, boy? But obviously, the who you got this week is about Serena Williams, her first match in this next tournament coming up. 16th seed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's abso-freaking-lutely the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And we'll get this episode.
Yes.
Yeah, boy. Get in there, get that football. Yeah, it's getting sweaty in here. Ooh, all right. That's enough of that. So yeah. Randy, tell me, who's your pick for the Super Bowl this year, my boy?
I've thought about it, and I don't know who I would pick.
Son of a bitch, you have one job.
Okay.
It's a 50-50 choice.
So, on one hand, you got the exciting Eagles offense, and you got a hell of a good defense with a backup quarterback that has done very well, mind you.
We should touch on, in the NFC and AFC championships, 3 of the 4 teams had backups starting.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? Right? It's
kind of disgusting.
It's who your star of the show is.
Oh my
Send in
God.
another one, right?
It does not bode well for the league.
No, it doesn't.
If none of your starting quarterbacks are making it to your conference championship games, except for Tom Brady, who, let's face it, hasn't taken a hit in 10 years.
You really don't like him, do you?
I just don't. I think he gets a lot of credit for Bill Belichick and great general management.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I'm not trying to diminish Tom Brady. I'm just saying that there are other quarterbacks, like you put Drew Brees in that system, and I think you would have had a very similar result.
Yeah,
personally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think watching them in the playoffs, they've played from behind a lot.
Yep.
I think if
they're
the Eagles,
resilient.
Yep. But look what happened with Atlanta last year. I mean,
oh my God.
Talk about a total flop by Atlanta.
I do have to admit, as a Panthers fan, watching them.
You reveled in that one, didn't you?
But it's like the double. Like if it was any other team than the Pats, I would have enjoyed it.
Right.
Any other team than the Pats, I would have enjoyed it. But watching the Falcons eat crow for 2 quarters.
Oh, they did.
It's like watching your favorite dog be shot in front of you. It's got rabies. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to do it, but you can't stop it.
You're screaming at the TV, Shanahan, run the damn ball.
Yep.
It worked in the first half. Why are you trying to throw? Right?
Yep.
Run the ball. You got Devontae Freeman just creaming them.
Yep. And
Tevin Coleman, the 2-headed Russian attack.
I'm just saying, if you've got that big of a lead on the Pats and you can't win, you don't deserve to win.
You don't.
Do not deserve
they
to win.
threw that game. It was awful. But, good for Pats fans. They enjoyed it.
Whatever.
All for about
I don't care.
3 hours the next morning.
You've got 5 rings and whatever, how many freaking years it is. I don't care. I don't care.
It's just like the Alabama conversation. How long do they even celebrate it anymore? That's the frustrating part.
For those of us who haven't been there.
Right.
Yeah.
If Philly wins, Philly's going in flames. Okay?
They are going to lose their goddamn minds,
Yeah.
Randy. They are going to be the worst people to talk to for the next year.
Yes.
But at least that will shut them up. At least like with Cubs fans, it's like, all right, there you go. Now shut up.
It's gonna rain cheesesteaks.
I can't complain about baseball. So my number one team in baseball is the Durham Bulls, right?
Yes.
But the major league affiliate that my team were such fans of were the Yankees. So
Right.
I can't complain.
No.
You want to talk about excellence? Like it's like every 10 years, there's at least gonna be one.
Absolutely.
At least one.
Yep.
But let's get back to that.
So-
Who you got?
I gotta go with the Pats. I mean, it's hard. It's so hard. I think the Eagles have a great chance against them. They've got a good system going. I've watched their games this year. I think losing Carson Wentz hurt them.
I have a question.
Yes.
If they had Carson Wentz, who would you pick?
Oh, Eagles. Hands down.
Same.
But that
I'm with
doesn't
you.
mean I'm not I don't think Nick Foles can do it. I do think
He may rise
had a
above.
great
I'll
season.
tell you what. If he rises above and they do win, that man's going to get paid. He's not going to get paid by the Eagles. They're going to go back to Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz is the better quarterback.
Yeah.
But that man's going to get a starting gig somewhere else.
Yeah.
Deservedly so.
It's interesting to see him, and that's a whole nother subject. To get to leave, the Eagles to go to the Chiefs and then to come right back.
Under the cruel tutelage of Andy Reid.
When Andy Reid, yep.
Well, was it really like leaving the Eagles at all?
No. It wasn't at all.
Man, and who was the coach of the Seahawks before Pete Carroll? Do you remember who I'm talking about? He looked like a walrus. He looked like Andy Reid's brother.
I don't think they had a team before Pete Carroll because all their fans, they did not like the Seahawks. Nobody liked the Seahawks before Pete Carroll, right? I can't even remember. All their fans came on board after that.
Am I confusing the Seahawks coach? Oh, or am I thinking of Green Bay's old coach?
Holmgren?
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Doesn't he kind of look like Andy Reid?
Yes.
That's what. Why did I say the Seahawks?
Yeah, he has the mustache.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They both look like walruses.
Like a broom.
Yeah, like Jamie Heineman from the MythBusters.
Narwhals.
Yeah. All right. Well, although I agree with your reasoning for why you think the Pats will win, the number one reason is because it's the Roger Goodell wants to suck on Tom Brady's beehole. Oh, Tom, you give us so much money. Why do I enjoy hurting you so much? Anyways, but honestly, if the game's not rigged, which is so dour, but it's just kind of how I feel. I'm with you. I think there's a good chance because here's the deal. Right now, he's tied with Joe Montana for titles, or maybe he has one more than Montana.
I think one more. Right? He has 5 rings, right?
He does have 5
Yeah.
rings. Montana had 4.
Yeah. So this would be a 6th ring. Okay.
Like MJ.
Yes.
God, I don't even want to.
You need 2 hands for those rings.
Jeez. No, knowing him, he'd put one on his goddamn pinky toe. Jeez. Anyways, so, but to be different, I'm going to pick the Eagles.
Good.
I think
Cool.
I think one of us will be right. I agree with some of the reasons you said about the Pats, and they certainly have that potential. But I think the Jaguars exposed some serious flaws, and the Pats have been flawed this season. For God's sakes, Miami beat them, and Miami is a piece of shit.
Yes,
they were a dumpster fire this year. I don't know what it is, but Miami has always had New England's number. Maybe it's they just don't think about them. Maybe they're like, whatever. If we lose to them, who cares? It doesn't mean anything.
Losing Tannehill killed that team.
Yeah.
I think they would have been far better if they had not lost.
But
then they bring in Jay Cutler off the couch.
Here's the reason why the Eagles win. So there's less tape on modern Nick Foles. So there's not a lot to study.
True.
Foles has been performing better than he did when he used to be a starter the first go-round.
Yes.
He's been playing lights-out football. I mean, he looked amazing against the Vikings, and the Vikings were a good team this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they stomped the Vikings.
I mean, it was not even close.
No.
And Philly's got a great defense. And
they do.
Brady has always been challenged when he plays against a great defense. Now, let me put it in perspective. The Panthers the last couple of years, when they've played the Pats, have beaten the Pats, and it's because the Panthers have great linebackers.
Except for the Super Bowl. You got to put an asterisk there.
What do you mean? Well, we didn't. Are you talking about the original Super Bowl?
No, I'm talking about Pats and Panthers. You got to put the asterisk there. Pats and Panthers.
We didn't lose to the Pats in the Super Bowl.
No.
You dummy.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was the Broncos and Peyton Manning
Broncos.
because the goddamn
Yes.
fix was in for the sheriff had to go out in the
Sheriff.
sunset. Worst,
That's right.
I've got to say it,
That's
worst
right.
performance by a Super Bowl winning quarterback of all time. And
Yes.
that's saying something.
It was awful.
So,
Which, a tale of two halves in that game, right? They were god-awful in the first half, and,
the Panthers really
displayed-
never gave you a lot. The thing is, the Panthers were always in it. They stayed in it. But, I cannot believe how bad the 49ers field was. It was supposed to be a Super Bowl field, and it was a muddy bog. It was awful. The players were changing cleats all game trying to get better traction.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a mud ball. Anyways, so
You've Bay Area
you
missed.
got the Pats, and I've got the Eagles.
I'm just gonna go with the Pats because they got experience.
You know what? One of us is going to be right.
No, but I want the Pats to get their ass whipped, though.
Wouldn't that be
I
nice?
would be.
Wouldn't that be
all-
so nice?
I would be all for that.
That would be it's
To shut the Pats
like
fans
it feels
up.
dirty. Wouldn't it be great if they scored nothing?
Yes.
Nothing. Tom Brady shut out and breaks his fucking leg in the game and retires in shame and decides to live his life as a gay man.
Maybe.
A la Kevin Spacey.
Maybe.
And then you find out they've cheated all these years.
Yes. That's how his legacy ends.
Sorry, I don't have any bias against Tom Brady. Not any at all. I don't know where we go from here. I think that's a wrap. What do you think?
Sounds great.
Anything
to
else
me.
you want to add? Is there anything we've missed out here?
No.
I see some notes on passing leaders and Super Bowls and stuff like that.
That stat. That's one we have to throw this stat in
Okay.
here, right? So the NFL's passing leader has only made it to the Super Bowl 5 times since the late 60s, right?
And how many times have they won?
None. They are
Is
0-5.
Brady the passing leader this year?
Yes, he was
Holy
the
crap.
passing yard leader, right?
Oh, God.
So you've got Peyton in there, you've got Marino, Warner,
Gannon.
Brady was even in there in
Yep.
07, and Rich Gannon. You got the fifth wheel there. But
You know what's funny about Warner is that you know who beat him that year?
who?
Brady.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's the only time the Rams lost that Super Bowl.
That's
won.
right.
They won the first year and they lost the second year to the Pats.
That's right. So even Brady's in that company. So,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge stats guy. I think stats are made to be broken. And, it's like when the guy lines up he hasn't missed a field goal in the last 43 kicks. Kicks
Muffs
that
it.
shit wide right.
Yeah, kicks it into his sinner's ass.
But that's, many, many years of statistics of only 5 people doing it.
That's pretty-
And they've all lost.
So there you heard it. Randy just admitted that my prediction that the Eagles are win is going to be correct.
Yes.
So I don't know where we go from there. Thank you for tuning in
Thank you.
to the R&R Sports
Yes.
Podcast. So for Randy, I am Robert, and we will see y'all next week after the Bowl of Super. More like the Bowl of Stupid.
Toilet bowl.